on YouTube yet? I'll get it. Maddie answers, oh God. I answer, I just saw it. It's awesome. I'll capture it off YouTube when it's up. Everyone's telling me you're everywhere. Go on my Facebook page and read the comments. And the conversation goes on. Maddie writes, where did you get your Benihana shirts printed? I want to print merch for myself. Meanwhile, this is all happening around Christmas of 2023. And all the kids were convening in Illinois for Christmas. Maddie writes, what time is dinner? 7? And here we are.
Looks like a great father-daughter relationship,
then in January,
to be honest.
She writes, my friends and I made shirts. She sends me photos of her and her friend wearing the shirts with pictures of Maddie's media appearances on the shirts. So she's quite happy that her bros, bro, guys, guy video went viral on conservative media. She could feel the feminism leave her body.
Guys, I went on a date this week and I felt the feminism leaving my body. Sort of fell into going on a date with the most guy I've ever been on a date with. It'd be time for me to get away from all these, liberal snowflakes on the east side.
And she's going to forget about all those liberal snowflakes. Biology seems to be trumping ideology here. She asked if I can send the media file to the Fox News Jesse Waters piece on her video. So obviously Maddie and I were getting along very well. Now, as I said, I was not at all thrilled with Maddie's choice of a Hollywood career path. But if she was going to keep putting up videos in this vein, that would be fine
cool
with me.
with it, right.
And I would certainly continue to encourage it and promote it any way I can. But it seems like she was getting some blowback from her usual fans because she started saying that her video was just a joke, a parody, and that of course she had checked out this guy's political leanings before going out on a date with him. And she began distancing herself from this video. So who knows? I do know that when she was growing up, Maddie was always talking about boys, and how she had a crush on this guy and that guy. And she had a great boyfriend in college for 3 or 4 years. I think the entire time she was in college. She went out with this guy, Elijah, who was a great kid. He was also a theater major, and I'm sure leaned left. Though so far as I could tell, he really wasn't that political. He was very polite and respectful. We had good conversations. Our biggest concern was that he would dump Maddie. Because as you can see, Maddie can be, well, not the easiest person. And I saw Elijah as a good, solid, steadying influence on Maddie. After graduating from Northwestern University, they went to Hollywood together to look for jobs. Both wanted to be in the entertainment industry. They broke up soon after arriving there. Not sure what happened. But there was absolutely nothing in Maddie's background that suggested that she was LGBTQ. If anything, she was boy crazy. Now she's claiming she's bisexual. I kind of doubt it. Now it's of course possible that Maddie has brainwashed herself to be bisexual to fit in with the Hollywood scene. So who am I to say what your taste should be? But I think what Maddie is really doing with her videos is taking a dump on her mom. Her whole shtick is that she's now LGBTQ, and that she's rejected her Christian Republican upbringing.
Happy Pride Month. When I was little, I was super homophobic and Christian. Now I like eating pussy.
And she knows how much her TikTok videos will upset her mom. But I also think that Maddie sees her LGBTQ act as helping her gain traction in Hollywood, and also with the audience that she's built up on TikTok. She's also a white woman from a wealthy Chicago suburb who graduated from a very expensive elite college. She's had every advantage in life. It's hard to make any kind of a case that she's a victim. She could literally be the poster child for white privilege. The problem for her is that you don't get ahead in Hollywood by being a white woman from a wealthy Chicago suburb, by being a Karen, essentially. In Hollywood, you get ahead by being part of some allegedly oppressed group.
Yes.
In Hollywood,
Or
you're
minority.
especially cool if you're LGBTQ. So in my view, Maddie has just adapted her shtick to be what's trendy in Hollywood. So she's trashing her background and where she came from. Now, I don't really care if she's LGBTQ or not. She's an adult. She can be whoever she wants to be. But I kind of suspect that she might be pulling a Jussie Smollett here. Of course, there's no way to really know what's going on in someone's brain. And I really don't have any problem with crude, crass, and edgy humor if it's actually funny. George Carlin, one of my favorite comedians, put out a lot of edgy material. You don't want to be crude just to be crude. There needs to be a point to it. And the point needs to be more than just upsetting your conservative Christian mom. Comedy is tough. In one way, I admire Maddie's guts. She puts herself out there. That's not easy. But she's trying to get views at the expense of her mom. That's not the way to do it. And her jokes are really no longer funny. There's no punchline, no theme, no story, no real point. Just the same old shtick, the same old routine about how she was raised in a Christian Republican household and has now rejected that. Okay, so what's the next step in the story? Where's the new twist? Where is this going?
I actually think she does show a next step in her story, and it's eating pussy. In super cringy fashion, she's rejecting her past and creates content demonstrating how she's indoctrinated, but yet she was privileged and that's not accepted. So she's finding whatever victimhood narratives to align to. And I do think that these liberal indoctrinated women will go as to so far to provide action behind her words, even if it's not something that they are actually about. There's a terminology when men do this where they act gay for money and they call it gay for pay. And I think now after looking looking at content like this, I think that there's a woman term for gay for pay as well via TikTok likes and social media accolades. But hilariously, throughout all of this, throughout all of her victimhood, all of her I am a minority, hear me roar, attention seeking, the one victimhood narrative that she tried to grab a hold of was having a deadbeat father. But, you know, he clapped back at all of the lies publicly. You lose. Perfect.
Everyone's free to have their own opinion about things, but where's the joke? What's the story? Where's the point? I've decided to cut Maddie out of my will because you just don't go out there and trash your parents and expect there to be no repercussions.
Bite the hand that
and my
feeds
will
you.
is actually a trust plus a will, but that's all been rewritten now. I still love Maddie. Maddie's my daughter, but I don't want one penny of my money
funding
going
her
to promote material that she's now putting out there.
Oh.
She's an adult. She can do whatever she wants,
Yep.
but I'm not going to subsidize this activity. So instead of Maddie getting a multi-million-dollar inheritance, I will be using that money to start a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping kids from low-income and disadvantaged backgrounds gain the skills, work ethic, character traits, and strategies that they need to succeed in life.
Nice.
And one of these strategies, one of the rules, is to never burn bridges with those who can help you.
Oh.
Never bite the hand that fed you. I even followed this rule with people I didn't think much of.
Taking her more than likely multi-million-dollar inheritance and donating it to a charity to teach the recipients of this charity the lesson that his daughter should have learned is, that shit is good. Ben, you've outdone yourself. Let go.
The point is, never burn bridges, especially with people who can help you.
Yes.
But you shouldn't burn bridges even with people you don't think can help you. And you really don't want to burn bridges with your parents. That's just dumb. Plus, you never know when you're going to need your parents to bail you out of something. Maybe you're going to suffer a health crisis, something like that. Maybe you're going to get into some jam that you're going to need help getting out of. But Maddie does not follow this rule. Instead, she turns against her parents if she's not finding them immediately useful.
In this next section, the breakdancing dad gets extremely detailed into how she's disrespecting not only him, but her mother as well. And there's a lot of new information here, so pay attention.
She thinks she's outgrown her parents, doesn't need her parents anymore. So now she's using her parents as punchlines for jokes. But the jokes aren't very good. Maddie lives in the now. She has trouble looking 2 or 3 moves ahead on the chessboard. Now, some of you will be familiar with previous chapters in the story. But for those of you who are new to this, here's a quick recap before we get into her more recent content, which includes all-out attacks on her mom. Now, I have issues with my ex-wife, obviously, because we got divorced. And I was certainly chagrined by Maddie's multiple and many-staged video attacks on me. But then she turned on her mom. Wow, that behavior is truly insane. Mind-boggling, even. Now, Maddie's mom actually thought Maddie's video attacks on me were funny, but I don't think Maddie's video attacks on her mom are funny at all. I see no humor in it.
Well, my mom, throughout my childhood, had 9 different boyfriends. Never really mattered what I did, though, because these men would always just dump my mom when they realized she had a lot of credit card debt. This happened so many times that I developed a Pavlovian response to the show. Except instead of, oh, I hear a bell and expect food, I hear, somebody's trying to fuck my mom. It's just the sound of Adina Menzel brought me back to that time where I caught my mom in the shower with bald paw.
Now, it's of course possible that Maddie will refine her style and become the next Phyllis Diller or Sarah Silverman. That's possible. I think there's about a 0.001% chance that Maddie will succeed as a comedian. And you do need to be in the top 0.001% of comedians if you're going to succeed as a comedian. Because if you're not in that top 0.001% of comedians, you're going to be living in poverty.
Right.
That's how most comedians live if they don't have another source of income. It's fine to be a comedian for a hobby, but it's very tough to make a living at it.
Professionally,
and of course, many comedians end up dead at a very young age. The great Lenny Bruce died at age 40. Chris Farley died at age 33. John Candy died at age 43, and the list goes on. These were people who made it to the very top of the comedy world. This is a very tough business. Now, some of you might wonder, why make a video about this? Why not just pick up the phone and talk with Maddie? Sit down and have a talk with her.
Before he answers that, I can understand you not being pleased with your parents' upbringing, but utilizing a stage instead of going to a therapist is absolutely insane. Rebel without a cause, except for the cause that she's brainwashed herself into. Young, liberal, with all of these victimhood traits, definitely the type to select the bear in the woods and in lieu of the man. It's sad to see, especially because she had such a privileged background. Instead of leveraging and utilizing that privilege, she spat at the people that provided that privilege. But if she's telling the truth though about her mother, imagine, remember she ran off on this whole Christian conservative will with God shit. Meanwhile, she's getting plugged by 9 different dudes that Maddie can remember during her childhood. Ooh, that is nasty work.
Well, I certainly have done that, but she's cut off all communication with me. So this is my way of communicating with her. But even if Maddie is too far gone, perhaps this video will help parents make the right choices when raising their children. Because clearly Betsy and I made a lot of wrong decisions when raising Maddie. I basically have 2 pieces of advice for parents. Do not allow your children to have social media accounts until age 18. Social media is a drug. Every bit as dangerous and as addictive as crack cocaine.
Yep.
If you are allowing your child on social media, you might as well be giving your child a crack pipe to smoke. Just like other dangerous drugs, social media rewires the brain. The dopamine hits to the brain are created by views and reactions.
Yep.
The crazier things that you do and say, the more views you get. So you are incentivized to say and do crazier and crazier things. I just put up a video by a kick streamer named Natalie Reynolds that shows where this leads. Now, I can get millions of views if I go into a restaurant at the Ritz-Carlton, jump up on the table, and take a dump on someone's steak dinner, but there's no talent in that. Kids and young adults are doing things like this for views. Maddie is throwing her mom under the bus for views. Views and reactions to your videos are the drug. To increase the number of views, to increase the number of eyeballs on the social media platform, on the computer screen, social media incentivizes the most outlandish and dangerous behavior. Social media changes people, especially the brains of young people whose brains are not yet fully formed. Maddie was nothing like she is now before she launched her TikTok career. Maddie changed and changed drastically after she launched her TikTok career in 2023. I actually think it should be illegal, against the law, for anybody under the age of 18 to have a social media account.
But it doesn't seem like it would have helped in this situation because she popped off in 2023. She was over 18 at that time. So I wanted to stop within the situation, but perhaps what he's saying is that if she wasn't on it earlier in life, then maybe she wouldn't have progressed to this stage. I've said this before, but I really think the biggest pimps that we have in society now today are these tech companies. They provide a platform that serves a dopamine hit or a drug of social media likes in exchange for you producing or creating content that is different from a modest narrative. And they do little to stop and or censor it. For example, I am demonetized off of Facebook as well as Instagram, but it's crazy how much nudity is present on the exact same damn platform. Women with t-shirts that are soaked, you can see the damn areolas, and there's young women that look at that shit and they see the like button underneath it and they're like, it's a drug to them.
And my second piece of advice is to homeschool your children. Think about it. If you send your child to a public school, you are allowing others to raise your children. And these other people who you are allowing to raise your children might have very different values than you have.
Yeah.
Children are raised mostly by their peers, the people they hang around with. You have very little influence over your child after your child heads off to school at the age of 6. So homeschool your children. And then do not send your child off to an elite or so-called prestige college or university, unless for a specific purpose, like to become a doctor or an engineer. America's so-called elite colleges have become political indoctrination centers, and that's now also true for the public schools down to kindergarten. Almost every skill that you need to succeed in life can be learned for free online, or very cheaply at your local community college.
He ain't lying.
It just makes very little sense anymore to pay $350,000 just to get a sheet of paper from a so-called elite college. Not only have you wasted the $350,000, but you've also wasted 4 years of your life that could have been used learning a marketable skill and building a business.
He's absolutely right, and he's going to get more right going into the future. We're currently in the gig economy and seeing what AI is doing and what people are able to produce at home by themselves, demonstrate that shit, even within my career. Now, my background was a little bit different because when I went to Penn State, I got half tuition, and shit, I even see it within my background as well. Shit, I'm a content creator now, and I got 2 different degrees, but my degrees did not cost $350,000 and nowhere close to it. Shit, when I went to Penn State, I only had to pay half tuition, and then I got a full ride to get my MBA completed at University of Rochester. And I still utilize skill sets from both those institutions in what I do today. Now, if I was hungry enough, could I taught myself all of these things? Absolutely. The school shows you what to study and then grades you on what you've learned. But 80, 90, shit, maybe even 99% of which you may not even use in the future. So I agree with what he's saying for institutions institutions that are Ivy League and it costs all of this damn money. However, the ROI, the return on the investment, might be beneficial or value add if you can go to a state school that has good relations for the inevitable company that you want to work for.
And Maddie is a perfect illustration of this. And I think stories like hers are very common. Now, Maddie was never an easy child. She was definitely the most difficult of our 4 children. But she also had a spark that I loved, and still love. She still has that same spark. It's just misdirected in my view. Here I am talking with Maddie when she was about 9 or 10 years old. We have with us here Maddie Hart. She is a YouTube specialist. How many videos, Maddie, do you have on YouTube now?
About 54.
And what is your goal?
One day I want to be a partner.
What does that mean?
It means you get paid to make videos. Yeah.
So, Maddie, I'd like some more YouTube insights and clarification. What is the difference between a subscriber and a viewer and a friend? So you have about 300 subscribers, but how many viewers of your videos would you say you've had so far?
I have several thousand views on my videos, several thousand views on my channel, and about like 500 friends.
Maddie. You know, it's interesting when Ben talks about mistakes that he's made. He talked about them not having social media up until 18, but she had a YouTube account before she was obviously 18. But let's see what he says about it.
Now, some might justifiably think that I pushed her into this social media thing from our conversation right here. But no, she actually discovered YouTube on her own. And honestly, I saw it as a positive, as a great creative outlet for her at that time.
Okay.
And YouTube really is not nearly as addictive as TikTok. People are putting out long-form videos. TikTok is on a whole new level of addiction. Try spending a few minutes on TikTok. It's very addictive. So I certainly did encourage her YouTube hobby when she was young. I'm all for encouraging creativity. I made my living as a creator. I write and create advertisements. And some of Maddie's videos as a kid were actually very good. Had a lot of character and creativity. And I remember telling Maddie, you know what I love about you, Maddie? What, Dad, she would ask. You're a doer, I would say. And that became kind of a theme throughout her childhood. She would be trying out for lead roles in plays and getting them. And I would say to her sometimes, hey, Maddie, are you coming to breakfast with us this morning? And she'd say, no, Dad. She'd say, I'm going snowboarding with some friends in Wisconsin, even though she had never snowboarded before. Maddie was always trying new things. She was not a sit-around-the-house kid. She was a doer, and she's still a doer. She's got great energy. But right now, it's badly misdirected, in my view. Now, for my previous video, some of you are going to be familiar with the basic outlines of the story, which is many-faceted and many-layered. And I'll recap here some of what appeared in previous videos. But I'll be adding quite a bit more detail. Then I'll end with some closing thoughts on how I think all this happened. Just 7 weeks after her video about her date with the bro's bro, the guy's guy, about how she could feel the feminism leaving her body, Maddie launched her first in a series of viral video attacks on me, her dad. And this was just completely out of the blue because we seemed to be getting along very well. Had been getting along great for many years. And her first video attack on me got 8 million views just on TikTok. And it got tens of millions of views across other platforms. It was picked up by all the big social media influencers and creators. So on February 14th, 2023, I woke up at 6 a.m., as I usually do. I poured myself a cup of coffee, sat down in my lazy boy chair wearing a t-shirt and boxer shorts, per usual, and I opened up my laptop computer to start work, as was my usual routine. And what was I greeted with? Well, an avalanche of comments in my social media feed calling me a deadbeat dad and all manner of other insults. I also received emails and text messages from my clients asking me what this was all about. That's how big this thing had blown up. What was happening, I wondered. And of course, as many of you know, Maddie had put up a video about me, accusing me of having abandoned the family to pursue a career in breakdancing. She also accused me of not paying her medical bills.
My dad abandoned my family when I was 5 years old. That is a wife and 4 kids. He abandoned us and then pursued amateur breakdancing.
Some more context is needed here. Needless to say, I will talk about this in a moment. All right, let's continue with the video.
And he got really good. He like blew up. Like he became like a D-list celebrity status, like viral breakdancer. He became like the oldest actively competing breakdancer in the world. Here, I'll show you.
See, take a look at the 60-year-old dancer. Yes,
Hey.
60 years
Oh,
old.
nice.
Amazing.
Hello.
That's Ben Hart. He's competing at a break
Good work.
competition in Philadelphia. And he may
Good
not have
work.
won, but I tell you what, he is winning over a lot of people on the internet.
Yes.
He really is.
Oh.
Yep. He's winning a lot of people on the internet.
Oh.
This guy wouldn't pay my medical bills.
That is not true. More on that in a minute.
He just like left 4 kids to do that. He may not have paid for some of my medical bills growing up, but he did give me this breakdancing merchandise. So that's him. He's on his
That is a
badge.
nice shirt.
This is his b-boy name because his name is Ben Hart. You know, I'll get texts like this, "Happy birthday?" ? And then like links to his breakdancing video.
That's
Look
true.
you up.
I text Maddie. I say, Maddie, someone sent me this video you did on me. I love you, but this is very inaccurate. Perhaps this is Mom's version of events. Number 1, I paid her $1.2 million in cash. That was the beginning of the divorce, at the get-go. Number 2, paid her $18,000 per month in child support and alimony, later reduced to $12,000 per month. Number 3, paid health insurance plus 70% of medical costs. Number 4, paid $600,000 into the college fund. Number 5, Paid a total amount of about $5 million for you guys. Number 6, didn't abandon the family. I lived right down the street in LaGrange. Small point, I took up breakdancing for exercise in 2012, 7 years after the divorce. But that part of the video was funny. There are some 5,000 comments on your video. Please take it down. Thank you. I love you, and am not at all angry. Some parts of the video were very funny. You were very talented. Love, Dad.
What a great
Then I added,
response.
You can easily redo the video and make it just as funny. Just remove the didn't pay medical bills and deadbeat dad parts, which aren't true and are very damaging. And by this time, clients were already emailing me, phoning me, sending me text messages, asking me about Maddie's video. That's how big this thing had blown up. It was really causing quite a bit of damage. Maddie answers, "Hi, sorry, Dad. I honestly thought you'd appreciate the free publicity and viral views." Not sure why she would think that. I do have a small YouTube channel, but I have a professional life. YouTube for me is just a hobby. For example, I put up this Advice to Teens video series starting about 12 years ago for my kids to watch when they were growing up. Some of these videos did very well. My Why Learn Algebra video got 180,000 views, for example. So I was putting up videos like that on my YouTube channel. Maddie continues, quote, "It's an objectively funny story that you left and started breakdancing. I harbor no ill will. I never called you a deadbeat dad. I just made light of what was ultimately a pretty tragic situation growing up. Growing up without dad was very hard, but now I've found humor and lightness in it. It's how it is." And it is true that Maddie never actually called me a deadbeat dad in her video. But she did say I didn't pay medical bills, which is not true.
Yeah, but she also said that you abandoned the family, which insinuates deadbeat dad. Appreciate the publicity. No, the free publicity and viral views when you know he has a real job with real clients. If you insinuate deadbeat father, that may break the relationships that he's been building. Then you say it's objectively a funny story. There is no funny story that is objective. It is all subjective. What it is venomous when you leave out context and you just connect that he left and then started breakdancing.
And the overwhelming interpretation of this in the 5,000 comments on her video was that I was a deadbeat dad who had left the family to become a breakdancer. And it's just not true that she grew up without a dad. I lived just down the street. Saw her and her siblings all the time. Maddie goes on, "It was an extremely ugly divorce and very sudden. I could say way more exposing both you and Mom, but I'm not malicious. Nor do I harbor any anger or bad feelings. But instead I focus on the funny part, which is that my dad got really good at breakdancing. I guess I shouldn't have made the medical bills joke. You're right. That's just something I heard growing up. But everything else is funny and just in good light fun." End quote. And it's interesting that she does say that she just heard from her mom that I was not paying medical bills. We'll come back to that later, because I do think Maddie's mom, my ex, Betsy, is the one who fueled this entire fire, had a big part in pushing Maddie in this direction. Betsy, Maddie's mom, thought Maddie's videos about me were funny. And Maddie basically doesn't know what to believe because her mom, my ex, lied to her throughout her entire childhood. And I suspect that Maddie saw the hypocrisy in her mom being the supposed hardcore Christian conservative. But Maddie saw nothing in her mom that suggested that her mom was living in accordance with any Christian principles. Maddie saw her mom as a phony and a hypocrite. So Maddie moved in a different direction, in rebellion against her mom, in reaction to her mom. And we'll come back to this. So the conversation goes on, and I'm very good-natured about it. I say, quote, "I thought 90% of it was fine, but abandoning the family and not paying medical bills will really hurt me professionally. I would appreciate it if you will just take this down and redo it. I know you meant no harm. Love, Dad." Maddie answers, and I put her answer up here if you'd like to read it, but she concludes that it's too late to redo. Too many people have seen it, she says. So I repeat my request. Can you just take it down? Maddie answers, "No, it's too late. It's already been reposted. You should just own it. Your breakdancing is viral and people love it." End quote. I answer, "It's
You
just
should
not
just
accurate.
own it.
I did not pay medical bills, did not abandon the family for breakdancing, did not abandon you kids, and certainly was not a deadbeat dad, as many in the comments are interpreting this." End quote. Maddie answers, "I said you didn't pay some medical bills, which is true, and you did abandon us." Maddie's video actually does not say that I did not pay some medical bills. She just said I didn't pay her medical bills.
Right.
This guy wouldn't pay my medical bills.
That is not true. But as we will see, this is not a lie. It was false, but not a lie. A lie is when you knowingly state something that is false. Maddie was just repeating the lie that she had been told for years by her mom, a self-proclaimed Christian. We'll come back to this. I texted Maddie, quote, "Maddie, these are the comments I'm getting in my Twitter and social media feeds. Here are a few of the comments. There are thousands like them, accusing me of being a deadbeat dad." Maddie answers, "Ugh, I'm sorry, Dad." And she goes on.